up, "Help me." He did not state what he wants people to help him with or give a clearer picture of whatever he needed help for. Many people in the society included suggested the needed help may not be unconnected with marital issues he's probably having with his new wife, Natasha. But in a video later today, he said, "This is getting out of hand. It's a very dangerous situation. I understand what fans can do, but I am perfectly okay. This is putting Natasha at risk. Please, I need everybody to calm down and cease. We're gonna resolve all these issues. People they get issues for house Nobi today. Please friends, family, everybody cease fire. Please, I am perfectly fine. I didn't post that post." The Nigerian music icon, Two-Face Idibia addressed growing concerns after a troubling post circulated online suggesting he was in distress and calling for help. The Edo State House of Assembly on Tuesday summoned the wife and the lawmaker representing Igor constituency, Natasha Robosa, to explain what members describe as behavior capable of embarrassing the House after videos of the legislator, who is married to music star Innocent Tubaba Idibia, kept spreading online. According to the Speaker, Blessing Agbebeku, the lawmaker must appear before the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges within 1 week to respond to the allegation of misconduct linked to her recent actions. Agbebeku said, "Honorable Natasha Robosa has been summoned to appear before the Ethics and Privilege Committee of the Assembly due to her recent conduct which has been trending online. This conduct drags the name of the House into the mud, and it is the responsibility of the members of the Assembly to conduct themselves well. This House has cerebral minds, educated people who had been dragged in the mud for too long by our colleague, Honorable Natasha. She has been trending on social media and television for the wrong reason. The House has members who know what they are doing, and the attitude of our member has brought this House to disrepute, and we will not tolerate it." The Speaker noted that the committee would submit its finding to the House in 2 weeks' time. Robosa has been trending for the wrong reasons recently after a video where she was having an altercation with her husband, Innocent Idibia, surfaced online. A tense moment erupted when Tubaba suddenly joined an online meeting Daddy Freeze hosted for the singer's former managers. Viewers couldn't believe what followed next as Tubaba's wife Natasha Sowore bumped into him while he was on air. The social media broadcast featured 2 of the singer's former management associates, Kaka Igbokwe and Lori Tozin, who alleged that Natasha was exerting excessive control over his personal and professional affairs. During the session, the duo claimed the lawmaker often displayed violent outbursts and referenced previous incidents involving the couple, including an alleged domestic disturbance in the United Kingdom. While the claims were being made, Tubaba abruptly joined the live stream and ordered the former managers to stop discussing his private life. Moments later, raised voices believed to be the singer and his wife were heard in the background before the session ended abruptly. The development has heightened public scrutiny of the couple's relationship, which became public after Tubaba announced his separation from actress Annie Idibia in January. He proposed to Sowore in February, and the pair tied the knot in July. The latest controversy follows earlier claims that the singer was briefly taken into police custody in the UK after an alleged altercation with Natasha during his tour in October. Although Tubaba dismissed that account, insisting he missed a show due to a medical emergency, the claims resurfaced after the live session. Kaka Igbokwe, former manager of Two-Face and son of the late Nigerian music legend, Christy Essien Igbokwe, confirmed that the old trending video of Tubaba being arrested in London after he had a heated altercation with his pregnant wife, Natasha Sowore, was true. Recall that Tubaba traveled to the United Kingdom in the company of his pregnant wife for a concert tour, but missed a scheduled show on October 2, 2025. His absence led to rumors that he had been arrested after a fight with his new wife, who is also a lawmaker in Edo State House of Assembly, Natasha Sowore, at the airport. However, confirming the report, while featuring on Daddy Freeze's Instagram live session, on Monday evening, Igbokwe said, "Everything you heard about the couple's face-off was true." Narrating how the altercation happened, Igbokwe, who was part of the London team, and was in the same flight with them, said, Natasha got upset when she felt Barber abandoned her after they landed at the airport and strolled away with fans who ushered him into a shop. However, when the African Queen crooner realized that Natasha was left behind, he hurriedly ran back to her as she lashed out at him, leading to his being arrested and handcuffed. The video, which was posted on December 1, 2025, had sparked fresh debate online, with many Nigerians revisiting a story Barber had already denied. In a video posted on Instagram, Barber denied the reports and explained that he missed the show because of a medical emergency. At the time, he and fans dismissed the report, but the story continued to circulate on gossip sites and social media. The controversy returned after Tosin Silverman, a blogger, posted what he described as new evidence, a video clip on Instagram and X on December 1st, which he said shows Barber being arrested at London's Gatwick Airport after a heated argument with Natasha. In the caption, he wrote, "Video of Tuface Idibia being arrested by the police in the UK after an alleged altercation with his wife Natasha, and video of heated argument at the airport." The video is finally out. Screenshots from the clip shared by commentators appear to show officers speaking with Barber outside a store before escorting him out of the building. We had reported that, after watching his elder brother, Innocent Idibia aka Two-Face, took to Instagram social media early morning midnight to post a video of him, Two-Face, apologizing to Natasha Sowore and the general public over the opinion he had expressed in a podcast interview. The African Queen music maestro's younger brother, Charles Idibia aka Charlie Brave, also took to Instagram nearly around noon to narrate how his elder brother, Two-Face, is currently and allegedly living in bondage in the hand of Natasha Sowore, specifically stating that it was Natasha Sowore who used Two-Face's social media handle to announce to the public Two-Face's marriage breakup with Annie Macaulay, adding, Natasha Sowore do go through Two-Face's phone, deleting WhatsApp messages she does not like, narrating also how Natasha Sowore allegedly impersonated Two-Face, by thus writing on Two-Face's social media page, where the allegedly impersonated Two-Face was seen to have asked the general public to help him beg Natasha Sowore to marry him. This, Charles Idibia said, his elder brother, Barber, has moved from a frying pan that almost killed him to an industrial furnace that will completely destroy him and his career legacy.
Fans, you know what I am perfectly understand. And this is really it's not fair on anybody to do this kind of thing. It's not fair on anybody. So please, I need everybody.
This kind piece of mind get as he be. When Annie dey with Two-Face, nobody dey hear all this kind of thing. Now wow, peace of mind.
Right, the person that's going to CBS please escape me. I am perfectly fine.
Yeah, we can't only go together, but I guess we don't
please. I'm okay. This is getting out of time.
Don't worry.
And
I'll sort that out.
This is a dangerous situation right now.
They just question what's anyway.
I know what fans do. I know what I am perfectly understand. And this is really pressure. It's not fair on anybody to do this kind of thing.
Baba has joined.
It's not fair on anybody at all. So please, I need everybody to calm down. I need everybody.
You need to shut the fuck up. You need to just shut the fuck up.
People you
need to shut the fuck up, man. You need to shut the fuck up.
This is getting out of hand. Please, friends, family, everybody. Ceasefire. Please, I beg you. I beg you. I am perfectly fine. I did not pull that. Please. I'm okay. Please. This is getting out of hand. And this is a dangerous situation right now. I know what fans can do. I know what people can. I am perfectly.
I said something. I didn't want to record. What's happening?
Guys, calm down. Let's.
It's not fair on anybody to do this kind of thing. It's not fair on anybody at all. So please, I need everybody to calm down.
Let's hope that there will be some stability so we can.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Presidency under the command and control of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said that if the ex-president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, wished to help in addressing apparent worsening security situations in the West Africa country, Obasanjo must first acknowledge the past failures that allowed terrorists to gain a foothold, and then support ongoing efforts, not undermine them. The presidency, through the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Communications, Sunday Dare stated this few days ago in reactions to the statement of Obasanjo that Nigerians have rights to call on international community's intervention if the government can no longer protect them, stating that the terrorists also kill people of other religions should not be an excuse. This, Obasanjo said while he was speaking at a Christmas carol event in Jos, Plateau State, after President Donald Trump of the United States, U.S. had raised alarm of what the U.S. president described as Christians' genocide in Nigeria and threatened to send U.S. troops to Nigeria if the killing of Christians continued by the suspected Islamic terrorists. A presidential statement that has seen spike in the activities of kidnapping and killings in Nigeria and thus creating more attention to the apparent unsafe nature of the country, which included the abduction of 25 schoolgirls from Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School, Maga, Kebbi, the kidnapping of 38 worshippers in Ereku, Kwara, and the mass abduction of over 300 students and teachers still in captivity at a Catholic school in Niger State, with daily wave of coordinated attacks across the northern and southern parts of the country, wherein the bandits, often suspected to be Fulani herdsmen, have abducted monarchs, worshippers, a bride, married couples, students and travelers, taking at least 600 people as captives within 14 days. And the rising unsafe nature of things could have made the Nigeria's defense minister, Alhaji Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, to tender resignation letter on Monday, while the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has since been appointed as the new defense minister, and the Senate has scheduled today, Wednesday, for his screening in line with the law and constitutional procedures of the Africa country. According to Obasanjo, no matter what religion you belong to, no matter where you come from, no matter what profession, we Nigerians are being killed. And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting us. We are part of the world community. If our government cannot do it, we have right to call on the international community to do for us what our government cannot do for us. And for anybody to say because those who are being killed belong to this region, belong to this religion, belong to this tribe, and then others too are being killed, cannot be an acceptable excuse. Before I left government, I know we had capacity to pick up anybody in Nigeria who commits crime anywhere. The capacity that we didn't have then is, after we have identified and located such a criminal, we have no capacity to be able to pick him up without moving on land or by air. Now we have capacity with drones. You can take him up. Why are we not doing that? Why are we apologizing? Why are we negotiating? In a statement on Sunday, Dare warned that Obasanjo's comments risk distorting the security realities and undermining public confidence. He argued that if the former president truly intends to contribute meaningfully, he must first accept responsibility for past failures. Sunday Dare, in the statement titled, "Between Tinubu's Capability and the Ignobility of Pseudo-Statesmanship," stated that the recent comments by a former president and a few habitual presidential aspirants attempting to paint the Tinubu administration as unable to protect Nigerians are not merely hypocritical but ignoble. They ignore the hard truth: Nigeria is facing terrorists. All of them, by every definition, be they international, regional, or local. Yet the very individuals who looked away when these threats first sprouted now want to sit in judgment. Nigerians know better. The suggestion that Nigeria should effectively subcontract its internal security to foreign governments is not statesmanship. it is capitulation. Before recommending surrender, the former president should reflect on what he failed to do when these terrorists first began organizing under his watch. 1. Nigeria is under attack by terrorists. Full stop. No euphemisms. No soft language. The people killing Nigerians, raiding villages, kidnapping innocents, blowing up infrastructure, and challenging state authority are terrorists, whether they fly a foreign flag or none at all. Nigeria today confronts a multi-layered terrorist ecosystem that includes internationally designated terror organizations, ISIS-linked and Al-Qaeda-linked franchises across the Sahel, local violent extremist groups masquerading as bandits, cross-border terrorist cells exploiting porous frontiers, ideological insurgents and criminal terror hybrids operating in ungoverned spaces. These actors collaborate. They share money, ideology, weapons, intelligence, and logistics. The goal is the same: to break the Nigerian state and subjugate its people. Let's call them what they all are: terrorists. 2. Terrorism took root on his watch and grew because it was not stopped. It is historical fact that the ideological foundations and early cells of Boko Haram were incubated during Obasanjo's civilian presidency. While they recruited, indoctrinated, built camps, and flaunted authority, the state failed to act decisively. What began as a preventable extremist sect transformed into a violent insurgency, a cross-border terrorist franchise, a regional menace aligned with global jihadist movements. For the leader under whom the first seeds of terrorism were allowed to germinate to now issue public lectures is not just ironic, it is reckless. 3. Tinubu's strategy meets the threat head-on. President Tinubu is not facing a conventional security challenge. He is confronting terrorism in full-spectrum form, both internal and transnational. His strategy is clear: kinetic pressure, modernizing military capability, intensifying intelligence-led operations, squeezing terrorist mobility and dismantling logistics, retaking and holding territory, non-kinetic dominance, restoring governance in underserved and contested zones, deploying economic stabilization and community programs, counter-radicalization and reintegration initiatives, building trust to deny terrorists the human terrain they exploit, whole of government, whole of nation. Because terrorists thrive in division, Nigeria defeats them through unity. Sovereignty first. Nigeria will cooperate internationally, yes, but it will not outsource its security or raise a white flag because someone who once had the chance lost his nerve. Yes, Nigeria needs the support and understanding of the United States, and that is already ongoing. And of course the collaboration of other allied nations. The crime at hand is transnational. Every ungoverned space must come under scrutiny. 4. Leaders who undermine Nigeria strengthen terrorists. When former leaders disparage the nation's capacity, they hand psychological victories to the very terrorists murdering, kidnapping and extorting Nigerians, terrorizing Nigerians in plain language. A real statesman offers support, not sound bites. If Obasanjo wishes to help, he should acknowledge the past failures that allowed terrorists to gain a foothold, and then support ongoing efforts, not undermine them. Let him put his position and connections at Nigeria's disposal like he has done for other countries. Not seek to put down an administration that is fully engaging in many fronts: economic turnaround, providing security and building key infrastructure. 5. Under Tinubu, Nigeria will defeat terrorism. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu remains committed to securing every inch of Nigeria by confronting terrorists with strength, unity, and a whole-of-government strategy. Let all patriots join hands now and not raise alarms. This administration will not be distracted by selective amnesia wrapped in elder statesmanship, nor will it allow those who midwifed Nigeria's early security failures to rewrite history.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria has declared a state of emergency over growing insecurity in the West Africa country, and as such, banned open grazing, with a call on Herders Association to tell their members to surrender illegal weapons in their possession, and as well gave a matching order to the Department of State Services, DSS to recruit more forest guards to chase away terrorists and bandits from all forests in Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also called on members of the National Assembly to review existing laws in Nigeria and give rooms for the establishment of state police. In his words, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, while declaring the state of emergency on security matters on Wednesday, said, "Today, in view of the emerging security situation, I have decided to declare a nationwide security emergency and order additional recruitment into the armed forces. By this declaration, the police and the army are authorized to recruit more personnel. The police will recruit an additional 20,000 officers, bringing the total to 50,000. Although I had previously approved the nationwide upgrade of police training facilities, the police authorities are, by this statement, authorized to use various National Youth Service Corps camps as training depots. The officers being withdrawn from VIP guard duties should undergo crash training to debrief them and deliver more efficient police services when deployed to security-challenged areas of the country. The DSS also has my authority to immediately deploy all the forest guards already trained to flush out the terrorists and bandits lurking in our forests. The agency also has my directive to recruit more men to man the forests. There will be no more hiding places for agents of evil. My fellow Nigerians, this is a national emergency, and we are responding by deploying more boots on the ground, especially in security-challenged areas. The times require all hands on deck. As Nigerians, we should all get involved in securing our nation. Let me take this moment to commend our security agencies for working together to secure the release of the 24 schoolgirls in Kebbi and the 38 worshippers in Kwara State. We will continue to sustain the efforts to rescue the remaining students of Catholic school in Niger State and other Nigerians still being held hostage. To the leadership and rank and file of our armed forces, I commend your courage and your sacrifice. This is a challenging moment for our nation and for the military institution itself. I charge you to remain resolute, to restore peace across all theaters of operation, and to uphold the highest standards of discipline and integrity. There must be no compromise, no collusion, and no negligence. The Nigerian people are counting on you, and this administration will provide the support you need to succeed. In addition, our administration will support state governments which have set up security outfits to safeguard their people from the terrorists bent on disrupting our national peace. I call on the National Assembly to begin reviewing our laws to allow states that require state police to establish them. States should rethink establishing boarding schools in remote areas without adequate security. Mosques and churches should constantly seek police and other security protection when they gather for prayers, especially in vulnerable areas. Our administration created the Livestock Ministry to address the persistent clashes between herders and farmers. I call on all herder associations to take advantage of it, end open grazing and surrender illegal weapons. Ranching is now the path forward for sustainable livestock farming and national harmony. The federal government, in collaboration with the states, will work with you to solve this problem, once and for all. I sympathize with the families who have lost their loved ones in recent attacks on soft targets in Kebbi, Borno, Zamfara, Niger, Yobe, and Kwara states. I also pay tribute to our brave soldiers who have made the ultimate sacrifice, including Brigadier General Musa Uba. Those who want to test our resolve should never mistake our restraint for weakness. This administration has the courage and determination to keep the country safe and ensure our citizens live in peace. I sympathize with the families who have lost their loved ones in recent attacks on soft targets in Kebbi, Borno, Zamfara, Niger, Yobe, and Kwara states. I also pay tribute to our brave soldiers who have made the ultimate sacrifice, including Brigadier General Musa Uba. Fellow compatriots, I urge you not to give in to fear and never succumb to despair. Let's stand together in purpose and strength to defend our freedom and values. Our administration will continue to guarantee peaceful coexistence and preserve our union. I urge all Nigerians to remain calm and vigilant. Report suspicious activities. Cooperate with security agencies. We are in this fight together, and together we shall win. May God continue to bless Nigeria and keep our armed forces safe.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
There are concerns that a renewed war may break out between Israel and Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon as Pope Leo XIV prepares to visit Turkey and Lebanon beginning this week, from the 27th of November to the 2nd of December 2025, which will be the first apostolic journey of the head of Catholic Church outside Italy of his pontificate. The possible renewed war may occur following Hezbollah stands to retaliate attacks Israel launched in the capital of Lebanon, Beirut on Sunday, killing Hezbollah chief of staff and second in command, Haytham Ali Tabatabai alongside 4 other persons, namely, Qasim Hussein Bajawi, Mustafa Assad Bero, Rifat Ahmed Hussein, Ibrahim Ali Hussein, and funeral is being held in their honor in Beirut as at the time of filing in this report on Monday. Israel, while confirming the killings, said, Tabatabai is a mass murderer, his hands are soaked in the blood of many Israelis and Americans, and it is not for nothing that the US put a bounty of $5 million on his head, although previous popes had visited Lebanon in the past successfully, but the current pope, Pope Leo XIV, is the first US-born citizen to be pontiff or head of the Roman Catholic Church, and one of the Hezbollah official, Mahmoud Qumati, in a statement on Sunday as he stood near the bombed-out building in the Harid Rake suburb, said, Israel's strike crossed a red line, and Hezbollah's leadership would decide on whether and how the group would respond. The Hezbollah, while confirming Tabatabai's death, said, Tabatabai, the great jihadist commander, who had worked to confront Israeli enemy until the last moment of his blessed life, ascended as a martyr in sacrifice for Lebanon and its people following a treacherous Israeli attack on Harid Rake area in Beirut's southern suburb. Israel carried out the airstrike on the southern Beirut suburb for the first time since June, killing at least 5 people and wounding 28, according to Lebanon Health Ministry. Funeral proceedings for Haytham Ali Tabatabai, the Hezbollah commander, and others were held on Monday in Beirut's southern suburbs. Early photographs and videos from the scene showed Hezbollah members carrying Tabatabai's coffin, draped in yellow and green, and raising the group's yellow flags as they marched through the Lebanese capital. Hezbollah said the strike, launched almost exactly a year after a ceasefire ended that Israel-Hezbollah war, threatened an escalation of attacks, just days before Pope Leo XIV is scheduled to visit Lebanon on his first foreign trip outside Italy. In its statement, the IDF said Tabatabai commanded most of Hezbollah's units and worked hard to restore them to readiness for war with Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's office said earlier Sunday that the Hezbollah chief of staff was the target of the Israeli strike on southern Beirut. Office of the Prime Minister of Israel, in a statement on Sunday, said, a short while ago, in the heart of Beirut, the IDF attacked the Hezbollah chief of staff, who had been leading the terrorist organization's build-up and rearmament. Prime Minister Netanyahu ordered the attack upon the recommendation of the defense minister and the IDF chief of staff. Israel is determined to act to achieve its objectives everywhere and at all times. The Israeli Prime Minister office also quoted the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as saying, a few hours ago, the IDF eliminated Ali Tabatabai, the chief of staff of the Hezbollah terrorist organization. Tabatabai is a mass murderer. His hands are soaked in the blood of many Israelis and Americans, and it is not for nothing that the US put a bounty of $5 million on his head. Tabatabai served as a senior commander in the Radwan force. This is the force that prepared to conquer the Galilee and slaughter many of our citizens. Recently, he led Hezbollah's renewed efforts to rearm. This is of course after the heavy blows Hezbollah suffered in the Pager operation, in the damage to its missile stockpiles, and of course, in the elimination of Nasrallah. I thank the IDF and the security forces which carried out a professional, accurate, and successful operation today. The policy I am leading is absolutely clear. Under my leadership, the State of Israel will not allow Hezbollah to rebuild its power, and we will not allow it to pose a threat to the State of Israel again. I expect the government of Lebanon to fulfill its commitment to disarm Hezbollah. Because only in this way can a better future be made possible for every citizen in Lebanon, and only in this way can good and secure neighborly relations be established between Israel and Lebanon. On this occasion, I also want to commend President Trump on his decision to outlaw and designate the Muslim Brotherhood organization as a terrorist organization. This is an organization that endangers stability throughout the Middle East and also beyond the Middle East. Therefore, the State of Israel has already outlawed part of the organization, and we are working to complete this action soon. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun said in a statement issued by his office that Israel's strike in Beirut on Sunday was further proof that it disregards repeated calls to cease its attacks on Lebanon and refuses to implement international resolutions and all efforts and initiatives aimed at ending the escalation and restoring stability, not only to Lebanon but to the entire region. Lebanon, which has adhered to the cessation of hostilities for nearly a year now and has presented initiative after initiative, reiterates its call to the international community to assume its responsibility and intervene firmly and seriously to stop the attacks on Lebanon and its people, Aoun said. Vatican News in a statement had announced Pope Leo XIV's visit to Lebanon as follows: Turkey. On Monday, the Holy See released the schedule for the Pope's journey, which will begin in Turkey on the 27th of November. Upon his arrival in the capital, Ankara, the Holy Father will meet with the nation's president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, before addressing Turkish authorities, representatives of civil society, and members of the diplomatic corps. At the end of the day, the Pope will travel by plane from Ankara to Istanbul, Turkey's largest city. During his first full day in Turkey, Friday the 28th of November, Pope Leo will meet with bishops, priests, deacons, consecrated persons and pastoral workers at Istanbul's Cathedral of the Holy Spirit. Later in the morning, he will visit the nursing home of the Little Sisters of the Poor. After a short helicopter flight to Nisa, modern Iznik, the Holy Father will participate in an ecumenical prayer service near the archaeological excavations of the ancient Basilica of St. Neophytos. Returning that same day to Istanbul, the Pope will meet with bishops in the apostolic delegation. On Saturday the 29th of November, Pope Leo will begin his day with a visit to the Sultan Ahmed Mosque, the famous Blue Mosque, before meeting privately with leaders of the local churches and Christian communities at the Syriac Orthodox Church of Mor Ephraim. In the afternoon, he will take part in a doxology at the Patriarchal Church of St. George, the seat of the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople. Following the service, Pope Leo XIV will meet with Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I, with the two leaders signing a joint declaration in the Patriarchal Palace. The day will conclude with Holy Mass celebrated in Istanbul's Volkswagen Arena. The Holy Father's schedule for Sunday the 30th of November, the Feast of St. Andrew the Apostle, begins with a prayer visit to the Armenian Apostolic Cathedral. Later that morning, Pope Leo will attend a divine liturgy at the Patriarchal Church of St. George. Following an ecumenical blessing at the conclusion of the liturgy, the Pope will have lunch with Ecumenical Patriarch. Lebanon. In the afternoon, after a farewell ceremony at Istanbul's Ataturk Airport, Pope Leo XIV would begin the second leg of his apostolic journey by flying to Beirut, Lebanon. Upon his arrival, the Pope will hold separate meetings with the President of the Republic, the President of the National Assembly, and the Prime Minister of Lebanon. He will then give his customary address to Lebanese authorities, representatives of civil society, and members of the diplomatic corps. Pope Leo has a busy day on Monday the 1st of December, beginning with a visit to the tomb of Saint Charbel Makhlouf at the monastery of Saint Maroun in Anaya. From there, he travels to the shrine of Our Lady of Lebanon in Harissa, where he will meet with bishops, priests, consecrated persons and pastoral workers. The morning concludes with a private meeting with Catholic patriarchs in the Apostolic Nunciature. In the afternoon, Pope Leo will hold an ecumenical and interreligious meeting in Martyrs Square in Beirut. Later, in the square in front of the Maronite Patriarchate of Antioch in Bikirke, Pope Leo will meet with young people of Lebanon. The final day of the Pope's apostolic journey, Tuesday the 2nd of December, will see the Holy Father visiting staff members and patients of the De La Croix Hospital in Jal ed-Dib. Pope Leo will then have the opportunity for silent prayer at the site of the Beirut port explosion, which occurred in 2020. The Holy Father will then celebrate Holy Mass at the Beirut waterfront, the final major event of the journey to Lebanon. Pope Leo is scheduled to depart from Beirut Tuesday afternoon, with a scheduled arrival at Rome's Fiumicino International Airport shortly after 4 p.m. Hezbollah, in a statement of confirmation on Monday, said, "With utmost pride and honor, Hezbollah announces to the people of the resistance and to our Lebanese people the martyrdom of the great jihadi commander, Haytham Ali al-Tabtabai, Said Abu Ali, who ascended as a martyr in sacrifice for Lebanon and its people following a treacherous Israeli attack on Harat Reik area in Beirut's southern suburb. The great commander joined his martyred brothers after a long period of awaiting the meeting with Allah Almighty, following a life filled with jihad, sincerity, dedication, and steadfastness on the path of resistance. He spent his blessed life working tirelessly in confronting the Israeli enemy until his last moments. He knew no fatigue or hesitation in defending his land and people. He dedicated his life to the resistance since its inception and was among the leaders who laid its foundational structure, enabling it to remain strong, dignified, and capable of defending the homeland and achieving victories. Allah bestowed upon him the lofty honor of martyrdom, and his great sacrifice will inspire his brothers in the resistance with renewed hope, determination, and strength to persist on this path. As he was in his life a source of strength and inspiration, his pure blood will empower the fighters to continue with steadfastness and courage to thwart all the schemes of the Zionist enemy and its sponsor, America. We extend our condolences and congratulations to our master, the Imam of the age, Imam al-Mahdi, may Allah hasten his reappearance, to his brothers fighters and fellow resistance fighters, to the steadfast supporters of the resistance, and to all free people in the world on the martyrdom of this great jihadi commander and his companions who were martyred alongside him. We also extend our condolences to their honorable families, asking Allah Almighty to grant them patience and comfort, and wishing the wounded a swift recovery.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, Nigeria Federal Capital Territory on Thursday convicted and sentenced Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to a passionate prison term of life imprisonment against the penalty of death sentence he said he ought to have pronounced on the Biafra Republic agitation leader over the statements Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made on October 20, 2020 through Radio Biafra during the war-like situation between the civilian population and Nigeria security operatives following series of reports that the Nigeria security operatives were shooting and killing innocent unarmed protesters, who were protesting against bad government and police brutalities tagged Ends's protest. Justice Omotosho in his ruling, said, Nnamdi Kanu was responsible for the killing of 175 security operatives during the Ends's civil-military war-like situation on October 20, 2020, and Justice Omotosho in his ruling, failed to state the numbers of civilians that were killed by Nigeria security operatives during the war-like situation that apparently forced Nnamdi Kanu to start teaching the civilians on how to manufacture Molotov cocktail, also known as petrol bombs, urging them to go and meet welders to buy bulletproof doors from the welders to defend themselves, and launched a retaliatory defensive attacks against the Nigeria security operatives who were accused of turning the peaceful protest into a barrage of gunfire, human rights violations and abuses. Justice Omotosho convicted Nnamdi Kanu on counts 4 and 5 over the Ends's protest, and he described Nnamdi Kanu action during the violent protest as an act of terrorism. On count 1, Justice Omotosho convicted Nnamdi Kanu for an act of preparatory to commit terrorism over statements made by Nnamdi Kanu in May 2021. Justice Omotosho in the ruling claimed and ruled that Nnamdi Kanu declared war against security operatives in the southeast states without provocation. This statement by Justice Omotosho apparently made him look like a biased person, because after Justice Omatosho read the entire 7-count charge and convicted Nnamdi Kanu, Justice Omatosho thereafter recognized a media news report and broadcast of Nnamdi Kanu on April 25, 2021, wherein Nnamdi Kanu vowed to avenge the killing of Akonso, the then head of Eastern Security Network, ESN, by a combined team of Nigeria security operatives led by the Nigerian Army under the command of former Chief of Army Staff, late Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, who was then the General Officer commanding GOC 82 Division. The Nigerian Army insisted in its report that Akonso was killed during exchange of gunfire with the security operatives, but Nnamdi Kanu rejected the claim and repeatedly stated that Akonso was killed in his sleep and the killing was a pure case of assassination by the federal government of Nigeria as a way to weaken the people of southeast states and deny them the ability to be able to establish the Eastern Security Network, ESN, to defend themselves against Boko Haram terrorists and expansionists foreign Fulani invaders from different countries like Mali, Gambia, Senegal, Nigerian Republic and Chad that were advancing from the northern part of Nigeria and cruising through the Middle Belt states to southeast, southwest and south-south states. For the record, killing of Akonso by security operatives apparently marked the genesis of the full-scale guerrilla war between the Biafra armed group and the armed forces of Nigeria, including other Nigeria security operatives. Justice Omatosho also convicted Nnamdi Kanu for the creation of unlawful organization over the establishment of ESN in a broadcast Nnamdi Kanu made in December 2020, stating that the ESN has been created to protect the people of Southeast against Boko Haram terrorists. After the ruling, Justice Omatosho stated that the Boko Haram terrorists, among other terrorist groups, are making people not to enjoy life in Nigeria. Thereafter, the prosecution lawyer, Adigboyegba Awomolo, told the court that in the last few days or weeks, Nigeria has been a season of victim upon victims of terrorism. Adigboyegba's statement may be in line with the current high rate of attacks by terrorists advancing from the northern Nigeria to the southern part, kidnapping and killing people like never before. That aside, Justice Omatosho also ruled that Nnamdi Kanu was responsible for the killing of Ahmed Gulak, the former presidential aide who was killed on May 30, 2021 in Owerri on his way to the airport after conducting election primary. According to Justice Omatosho, Nnamdi Kanu act of declaring sit-at-home to mark the 2021 Biafra Heroes Day led to the killing of Ahmed Gulak. In addition, Justice Omatosho ruled that Nnamdi Kanu is responsible for the killing and beheading of military couple, Master Warrant Officer, MWO, Audu M. Linus, retired, and Private Gloria Matthew, who were on transit to Imo State for the traditional wedding on Saturday, April 30, 2022 at Olu in Imo State, a time Nnamdi Kanu had already been rearrested from Kenya and detained as of June 2021 at the custody of the Department of State Services almost a year plus before the military couple were caught and killed by gunmen suspected to be Biafra armed group. For the purpose of clarity, Justice Omatosho attributed these events of killings to Nnamdi Kanu apparently to satisfy the basic requirements of the law in line with Nigeria criminal justice system that borders on terrorism. That Nnamdi Kanu's statements were not mere threats, that, indeed, the statements caused an impact in the society. This, Justice Omatosho ruled and held that Nnamdi Kanu is responsible for the every Monday sit-at-home in the southeastern states of Nigeria, even in the face of the fact that the every Monday sit-at-home in the region began on August 9, 2021 after Nnamdi Kanu was not seen in court following his rearrest from Kenya, and people decided to enforce every Monday as a sit-at-home day in the southeast states of Nigeria to demand the unconditional release of the rearrested and detained Biafra Republic agitation leader. Details of the major parts of Justice Omatosho ruling are transcribed and presented verbatim below. Their rights to make sure it happens. In the broadcast of the 16th of May 2021, also contained in the exhibit PWW, the defendant in the beginning of the broadcast stated thus: "My name is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB and director of Radio Biafra and Biafra Television. I will remain a loyal servant on the people of Biafra. He further stated around 51 minutes mark, and I quote, "If God is on our side, which I know he is, the army of Nigeria will die in Biafra land. Everybody will die. I will be the one leading it. By God's grace, everything called Nigeria will perish in Biafra land. The world must be prepared for what is to come. I want to let Katrina Lang and the British government to know that we have chosen the path of death and people are dying every day. We have to develop the mindset of, after this, which even though NATO is there, will not. NATO is there. We say that we are ready to die and everyone that comes to kill us will die also. Because things will start happening in the next 14 days, in the next 2 weeks, the slaughter will begin to happen. You see those CNN that have refused to come to Biafra will come by force to see what is happening. We will make sure that every Nigerian soldier on Biafra soil will die. God is my witness. I will lead this barrier myself." Around 55 minutes mark to the exhibits. He said, and I quote, "I want the United Government to understand that we are ready to die than be slaves," unquote. At about 1 hour mark, he said, and I quote, "Israel was named Palestinians by the Romans because they were too stubborn. Go and ask how they did it. They bombed them the Romans away. Not these roadside bombs. Every road leading to Biafra will be manned landmines. Everything that is Nigeria, whether it is police, army will blow till the kingdom come." The defendant also stated in that same broadcast, and I quote, "We are asking for our freedom. They aren't listening. But when we start doing what we want, the whole world will start begging us. And then I will come out from wherever I am and tell them that it's too late. Throw away your phones. Remain incommunicado as we are in the state of war. It will not kill you to do away with your phones. All people should go into the bush and stop the advance of this army or else they will kill you." These words spoken by the defendant in those broadcasts were not mere words, as they bear heavy traces of threats to harm people, including international representatives representing their nation in Nigeria. The said broadcasts were several in numbers, and defendant kept repeating his rhetorics that people will die if Biafra is not created. The defendant plan to commit the terrorist act did not only manifest in its broadcast, but was shown in a meeting he had with other Igbo people in the United States at a World Congress Igbo Congress meeting held at the Four Points Hotel in Los Angeles in the United States of America, as contained in Exhibit PWW. The defendant, while speaking to the audience, stated, and I quote, "We must not miss this golden opportunity. We are bound to suffer in this time to come. You must come out to support what we are doing. We need guns and we need bullets. I know we love life so much. Without it, Hausa will overrun us. They have succeeded in imposing aggression on us. They are coming. Boko Haram is coming in Igboland." A female participant stood up to ask the defendant of his objective as well as why means for weapons. The defendant responded, and I quote, "We now know that the best way to defend ourselves is to be armed because Boko Haram is everywhere in zoo called Nigeria. So we need guns and bullets, and those of you in America will give it to us. Also, on the 22nd day of this month, something will happen called the blood moon. Most of you don't know that just before the Civil War there was blood moon. There was blood moon in 67, and it only happens once in a while because after this year we will be free. No matter what happened, if we don't get Biafra, everyone will live to die." We are not joking. His intention was quite clear. He believes only in violence as the solution to the creation of Biafra as a nation. And at the said World Igbo Congress, most of the participants were quite alarmed by the expressions as is planned. And so they kept asking if he had considered the option of peaceful dialogue, to which the defendant was adamant that only violence could lead to the achievement of his aim. These threats of violence are nothing but terrorist acts which was duly carried out by his followers. As will be seen later in this judgment, the defendant knew what he was doing while making these violent statements. He obviously had an objective which won the face of, it is political, that is, secession of the state of Southeast, South and some Middle Belt states from the Federal Republic of Nigeria to form Biafra. The defendant was also bent on achieving his objective with the use of violence. And he didn't mind if his own people die in that process. As one of the crucial elements in establishing crime, the intention and the knowledge with which defendant carried out the acts can be expressed by him, if not so expressed by, can be deduced from its conduct or activities or other connected circumstances. See Burundi and Federal Republic of Nigeria. From the uncontroverted evidence led by the prosecution, particularly the procast contained in Exhibit PWW, it is clear that the defendant committed acts preparatory to an importance of terrorist acts. The defendant had the opportunity to explain but failed and deliberately refused to take that opportunity. Thus, he did not place any evidence before this court to explain the contents of the contest of the said broadcast or any reason which may be exculpatory in his favor. Having failed and deliberately refused to enter defense or give explanation, the court will rely on the uncontroverted evidence of the prosecution. This court therefore holds that the prosecution has established count 1 of the charge beyond reasonable doubts. Consequently, the defendant is hereby convicted in respect of count 1, with respect to count 1 of the charge. The defendant was charged with making a broadcast received and had in Nigeria with intent to intimidate the population, issue deadly threats that anyone who flout a sit-at-home order should write his will, as a result of which, banks, schools, markets, shopping malls, fuel stations domiciled in the eastern states of Nigeria were not open for businesses, citizens and vehicular movements in the eastern state of Nigeria were grounded. This offense is also punishable under Section 12 of the Terrorism Prevention Act. The ingredients are similar as contained in count 1, except that the prosecution must establish that the defendant indeed issue a threat to anyone who flouted his sit-at-home order in the southeastern state of Nigeria. The evidence as led by the prosecution shows that the defendant issued a sit-at-home order wherein he threatened the residents of the southeast states from going out. He further threatened that any church, markets, schools, banks, or shops which opened will be destroyed. This was the purpose of his broadcast of 30th day of May 2021, where he stated that he had an announcement to make regarding the short stand of the entire Southeast. He stated exactly at 9 minutes 10 seconds in the broadcast contained in Exhibit PWW. And I quote, "Tomorrow being the 31st day of May, there is complete lockdown. No church, no markets and nobody should be seen outside tomorrow. I do not want violence. I do not want anybody to resort to violence. I condemn it completely and totally. We do not want to spit the blood of the innocent. Therefore, I am urging restraint across border. I am urging our people to honor the memory of people who died. There will be no school, no church, market, banks, car on the roads. There will be complete shutdown. If you want to be alive, do not come out tomorrow. What I'm saying is that do not come out tomorrow if you value your life. There will be complete shutdown of Biafra land tomorrow. Any community that allow vehicle to pass tomorrow will be in trouble. Anybody in any car or lorry except in ambulance will be in trouble. I know some people are very foolish trying to open their shops around 12. If you open that very shop, we will burn you inside it. Especially Enugu, Umuahia, Abakaliki people. You are very stupid. Tomorrow we will show you." This statement at first sounded peaceful and even seemed as if he was only persuading people to honor the memory of some people. However, defendant in his typical aggressive way of speaking began issuing threats to those who might not want to obey his order, that might not want to obey his order. The people of the southeast are Nigerians, and I take judicial notice substantially are Christians who go to church and merchants that are into trade, and there are children who were threatened again against going to church, their places of business and schools. This court wonders if this can be said to be agitation for self-agitations. Unequivocally, I say no. The people of the southeast of Nigeria are entitled to their right to personal liberty, freedom of movement under Section 35 and Section 41 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. The third session provides, and I quote, "Every person shall be entitled to his personal liberty and no person shall be deprived of such liberty save in the following cases and in accordance with the procedure permitted by law. A. In execution of the sentence and order of court in respect of criminal offense of which he has been found guilty. B. By reason of his failure to comply with the order of court and in order to secure the fulfillment of any obligation imposed upon him by law. C. For the purpose of bringing in before a court in execution of order of court or upon reasonable substitution of his having committed a criminal offense. D. In the case of a person who has not attained the age of 18 years for the purpose of his education or welfare, he in the case of persons suffering from infectious or contagious disease, person of unsound mind, person addicted to drugs or alcohol, vagrants for those or purpose of those care or treatment or protection of community. F. For the purpose of preventing the unlawful entry of any person to Nigeria or of effecting the expulsion, extradition or unlawful removal from Nigeria of any person or the taking of proceedings relating thereto, provided that a person who is charged with an offense and who has been detained in law or in lawful custody awaiting trial shall not continue to be kept in such detention for a period longer than the maximum period of imprisonment prescribed for him. Section 41 provides every citizen is entitled to move freely throughout Nigeria to reside in any part therefore thereof, and no citizens shall be expelled from Nigeria or refuse entry thereby or exit. Therefore, they are also entitled to their right to freedom of religion as expressed under Section 38 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic Nigeria. The right to personal liberty, movement, religion are complementary of each other. Jealousy guides these rights and their basic rights which enact to them as being human beings. These rights are so fundamental. Kindly see my Lord Agagu JCA has initiated on this in Okafor versus Lagos State Government. And another citation, the people of the Southeast cannot be ordered to sit at home by a person, especially for someone who is not a legally recognized official of the federal government or an official of any of the states. The only person entitled to restrict movements of person within Nigeria is the President or the Federal Republic of Nigeria under emergency power under Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. The President can order for a curfew area where there is a crisis or natural disaster. The defendant is not the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, thus lacks any power to so declare a sit-at-home in any part of the country. The defendant arrogated to himself power he lacks and with the threat of violence order the residents of the southeastern state to stay at home or face the consequences of the disobedience. This is an unconstitutional act which is subversive and amounts to nothing more than a terrorist act. It is also a notorious fact that the people of Southeast have been subjected to sit-at-home threats on Mondays for years now. PW4, who stated that he was stationed in the Southeast, especially in Imo State for some years, gave evidence that Monday sit-at-home is a usual occurrence wherein the town are deserted, even the farmlands. PW4 also gave evidence on the death of one Ahmed Gulak, a former aide to the former President Goodluck Jonathan, that the said Ahmed Gulak had been killed by IPOB men in portion to the order of defendant. Ahmed Gulak was trying to catch a flight out of Owerri on the 30th day of May 2021 when he ran into a checkpoint by IPOB and was shot dead. PW4 stated that he was one of those who got to the scene first. It must be noted that 30th of May 2021 was a Sunday, not a Monday, but notwithstanding it leads to the death of a person trying to move around due to the directive of defender as shown in exhibit. PWK is a medical report from the Nigerian Police Medical Services Owerri. The report is dated the 18th of July 2021 and it states to whom it consign. Medical report, late Ahmed Gulak, hospital number, the victim allegedly shot dead by hoodlums suspected to be IPOB ESN members on the 30th of October 2021 at about 7 hours along Airport Road, Owerri. Picture of lifeless man seen. Body of disease buried. Informations above medical reports duly signed by the medical practitioner clearly states the immediate cause of the death of Ahmed Gulak and links him to the defendant as leader of IPOB and ESN. The action of the defendant cannot be excused under any circumstances. The declaration of a sit-at-home without any constitutional power, especially the accompanied by the threat, is a terrorist act. The defendant did not present any evidence to challenge, report this case of the prosecution. Consequently, he admits the evidence as presented by the prosecution. The prosecution has successfully proved can to beyond reasonable doubt. Consequently, the defendant is hereby convicted of count 2 with respect to count 3. The defendant is charged with professing to be a member of and leader of Indigenous People of Biafra IPOB, a prescribed organization in which thereby committing an offense contrary to and punishable under Section 16 of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2013, Section 16 of the Terrorism, Prevention Acts, and Prevention Amendment Act provides, and I quote, "Any person who is a member or professes to be a member of terrorist groups commits an offense and is liable on conviction to imprisonment for a time not less than 21 years. The ingredients of the offense from the above provide provisions are 1. The defender must be a person. 2. The defender must be a member or professes to be a member of a terrorist group. 3. The terrorist group must have been proscribed as at the time the defendant professes membership was tied as earlier established. Second ingredients. Prosecution has led evidence showing that the defendant was not just a member but he was the leader of a terrorist organization known as Indigenous People of Biafra. Indeed, in the broadcast of the 16th of May 2021 as contained in the ZBPWW, the defendant in the beginning of the clip stated this, and I quote, "My name is Nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of Indigenous People of Biafra and director of Radio Biafra, Biafra Television. I will remain a loyal servant of the people." He further stated around 51 minutes mark into the video, "If God is on our side, which I know he is, the army of Nigeria will die in Biafra land. Everybody will die. I will be the one leading it. By God's grace, everything called Nigeria will perish in Biafra land. The world must be prepared for what is to come." Unquote. In several other broadcasts, the defendant admitted being the leader of Indigenous People of Biafra. There is no fact before this court showing the defendant is not member and in fact leader of the said group. The defendant from the evidence before this court also possessed power to order the coordinator of IPOB. In a broadcast dated the 11th of May 2021 in Exhibit PWW, the defendant, while commenting on the meeting of Southern Governor held in Asaba, stated around 35 minutes to the exhibits while played, and I quote, concerning the lockdown announced yesterday. "I urge all people of Biafra and all those in Biafra land to disobey the lockdown given by Zoological Republic of Nigeria. The reason is because they want to use the dead of the night to move their fighters into our forest. Because we have defeated their foot soldiers. We must resist this stupid lockdown and it will not hold in Biafra. I am calling on all the coordinator, deputy coordinator of ESN and IPOB not to sleep in their houses today, but to look for somewhere else to stay. Because now we are in the trenches. Now you will know what is freedom fighting for. It is not comfortable. It is not rosy. Do not sleep at home. Do not sleep at home. Change your phone and even your phone itself." The defendant no doubt belonged to the group and is a leader of the group with the influence of commanding the coordinators of the group, not only IPOB but even Eastern Security Network, which is the armed wing of IPOB. In the broadcast of the 12th of December 2020, the defendant made an announcement in inaugurating the military group known as Eastern Security Network, which is the armed wing of the Indigenous People of Biafra. He stated, and I quote, "We have cowards, fine line idiots. As governors, they have given over our land to the Janjaweed to occupy in perpetual perpetuity. This very generation, this very IPOB will not tolerate it. Not now, not tomorrow, not forever. We will rather all perish and die than to allow our land to be taken over by the Janjaweed. This is a warning to all the governors who are conspiring due to one political consideration to give our land to infidel and blood-sucking demos from this town. It cannot happen, not under our watch. We are being told that some of these invaders come from Senegal, Gambia, Mali, from Nigerian Republicans and from Chad, according to Governor of Katsina State. Therefore, we are setting up the Eastern security networks to combat the excesses of these vagabonds, criminals from crossing, along the same line as Amotekun, the one set up by Mieti Allah. What we are launching before the war today is Eastern Security Network, not a Biafra army. And we will let the world know when the army is too much. Too much. But for our present purposes, we are setting it up to defend our land Biafra against marauders from the Sahel and the term incursion led by terrorists, Fulani to be precise. In the coming days you shall see them in their uniform performing the critical issue of providing security for our land. The defendant who was feasibly agitated, continue in the broadcast by stating no governor in the southeast and south-south have been able to form a security outfit. Therefore I must defend our land to the very last blood. We shall not stop, not now, not tomorrow, not forever, until our land is get rid of vultures of this Fulani terrorist. In the third video broadcast there was a side video of the man of the Eastern Security Network dressed in black with red cap waving black flag with insignia of Eastern Security Network. This is therefore no doubt the prosecution has established the second ingredients beyond reasonable doubt. With respect to the third ingredient, the evidence before this court shows that IPOB is a proscribed group. I take judicial notice of session under section 122 of the Evidence Act of the order made by my learned brother Nyako J in suit number FAC ABJCS A71 2017 between Attorney General of the Federation versus Indigenous People of Biafra today dated the 20th of September 2017, wherein the activities of indigenous people of Biafra were prescribed. He sent order crystallized, which is the Federal Republic of Nigeria Official Gazette number 99 in volume 104 dated the 20th of September 2017, titled Terrorism Prevention Order, number Terrorism Prevention Order of 2017. The Gazette writes, and I quotes, "Nothing is hereby given that by the order of Federal High Courts in suit number FACABJCS 871 2017. Dated the 20th of September 2017. As per the schedule to this notice, the activities of indigenous people of Biafra are declared to be terrorist and illegal in any part of the country Nigeria, especially in the southeast, south-south region of Nigeria as prescribed, portion to Section 2 of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 as amended. 2. Consequently, the general public is hereby warned that any person or group of persons participating in any manner whatever in any form of activities involving or concerning the prosecution of the collective intention or otherwise of the said group will be violating the provision of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 as amended and liable to prosecution. The import of the above is that beginning from the commencement date of the 20th of September 2017, any person claiming to be a member of IPOB commits a terrorist act. The defendant by his broadcast of the 11th of May 2020, the 12th of December 2020, professed to be a member of prescribed group. Thus is the breach of Section 161 of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013, consequently is hereby convicted of count 3. On count 4 and 5, which are closely related, the defendant is charged with inciting members of the public in Nigeria to halt and kill Nigeria security personnel and their family members, thereby committing offense under Section 1 sub 2H of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013. The section provides as follows: any person of body corporate who knowingly or outside Nigeria direct or indirectly willingly incite, promises or induces any other person by any means whatsoever to commit the act of terrorism or any of the offenses referred to in the acts, commits an offense under the act and is liable to conviction to maximum of death sentence. The ingredients of the offense which the prosecution must establish beyond reasonable doubt are 1. The defendant must be person of body corporate. 2. The defendant must have directly or indirectly incites, promise or induced other person by any means whatsoever to commit the consent terrorism act. 3. The defendant must have directly or indirectly incited, promised or induced other persons by any means whatsoever to commit the terrorist act willingly or knowingly. The defendant have been established to be a human being by the prosecution for the second ingredient. It is important to understand what incitement means, and according to Supreme Court by Nikitobi DSE of blessed memory, the incassa and the state citations applied hold, and I quote, "An encouragement here means an art of making someone to feel brave or confident enough to do something by giving active approval in support of the crime." Incitement also have the element of encouragement by incitement. The person is provoked by a strong passion or feeling to commit an offense. The word set is a word of quite a number of synonyms. The two words set on connotes the resemblance of casing to attack or chase. Like one maybe say the future man, prepare the bait to set on the fish. It also adds the element of antagonism and instigation. The art of instigating means something happened by the actions or conduct of a person who is the starter. By the act of instigation, the co-accused is prepared or gingered to commit an offense. Likewise, the online Oxford Dictionary defines its incitements as follows: the action of provoking unlawful behavior, urging someone to behave unlawfully. The Cambridge Dictionary also defines incitements as follows, and I quote, "The art of encouraging someone to do or to feel something unpleasant or violent." Drawing from the above definitions, the incitements involve provoking or instigating people to do an unlawful act, in their instant terrorist acts. The prosecution has led evidence showing that the defendant made broadcasts inciting public to take up arms against the security personnel in Nigeria to kill them and their family members. The broadcast of 21st day of October 2020 is contained in the PWW. The defendant said, and I quote, "Radio Biafra is now in the hand of the enemy of our freedom. I don't know how much they paid for it, but I know that Britain spent over 4.8 billion a few days ago to suppress what is happening. That is what they have done. I told you a while back that Britain was now in charge of what is happening in the zoo. And you thought that I was joking. They have now come with their clampdown, but they are now going. They are not going to succeed. Radio Biafra belonged to us. But why is it not playing out our program right now?" The defendant also stated, "I am telling you people to go to the bush. Whenever you see a military convoy, you attack them. Whenever you see a police convoy, attack them. They are human beings, and they also beat any person with a police uniform or any army. Any army uniform is an enemy of the people." Unquote. Around 57 minutes to this video mark, the defender stated, and I quote, "They came to Tinubu. It is surprised that after British High Commissioner came to Tinubu, they opened fire on protesters in Lagos. You should know that the woman is a devil. A big, big devil. She too will go. We get a common pence." The defendant was referring to Katrina Lang, the British High Commissioner at that time. The defendant also said, "From what will happen in Aba between today and tomorrow, we tell you how serious we are. Every police officer with uniform. Once you come out from your house with police uniform, you a dead man." Working callers were calling in from places like Aba, like toll gates and other parts of Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Jos, Abia State. Even one Jacob called from Nasarawa State. And the defendant kept giving orders for these callers and other listeners to kill every police and soldiers. The defendant even told the people how to build and improvise bombs. He asked them to go to filling station to get fuel in a bottle and put a rag in it. Then they should set the rag at a blaze and throw it at soldiers. In responding to a caller call from Abuja in that same broadcast of the 20th of October 2021, the defendant, while inciting his listener to attack the relative of security personnel, stated, and I quote, that every commander they have given his name feeds. Find his children. I want to get him in trouble. When they take me to court and ask why I said such thing, I will tell them why. Find the commander. His name is Ifu Umata. Find his children. Find his children. The commander of those on the ground find their children very, very important. Find their children. Unquote. This defendant went further that, and I quote, start attacking the police. Take the guns, use them against them. Manufacture Molotov cocktail, manufacture bombs to bomb them, unquote. The defendant asked about 2 hours, 44 minutes, 35-second mark, while concurring with a caller who informed him of the intention of him, other IPOB members to burn down the Ezima police station. Stated not only one, I want every police station in Aba to be destroyed, completely destroyed, and burn them down. It is an order, destroying them completely. Anybody who see them with police uniform, kill the person. Nigeria wants anarchy, we will give them. And in another broadcast, the defendant, while responding to a caller, stated this. You people must devise strategy to outfit the army. There are some guns in those states right now as we speak. Use those guns to kill 1 or 2 of their army officers. Take the guns and begin to kill other people as well. Begin, because they cannot sustain this protest for 3 years, 3 weeks. There are guns in Edo states already. Kill the army whenever you see them. Take the guns and kill them. The incitement of the defendant for the public to kill security personnel is quite clear from its big blockers. Not only incitement to kill security officers, the defendant even went as far as inciting the public to destroy all properties of federal government. During the NSIS protest of the 20th of October 2020, the defendant in another live dated the 20th of October 2020, the defendant, while responding to calls from his foot soldier during the protest, stated, and I quote, if you leave the Janjaweed and their agents the way they operate, if you leave them, believe you will, you believe me, you will suffer. That very hotel must be brought down. I did not say set ablaze. It must be demolished as an example to the rest. If you have not dealt with Tinubu in Lagos, the other will not learn their lesson. Tinubu is an evil man. The hotel refers here to his Oriental Hotel in Lagos, which the defendant alleged belonged to Tinubu. While responding to a caller, the defendant urged his callers to ambush forces during the protest and cut them off. He said, and I quote, go to the bush. You need to cut them off from the back, ambush them, take the guns from them and kill them. They are animals and not human beings. They may be wearing uniforms like police or soldier, but they are animals. Disarm them and kill them. If you allow them to escape, your life is over. And I want Lagos airports to be on flame. Breach the perimeter fence and burn down the Lagos airport. If you have double barrel or pistol, go to the airport and burn it down. Set Muratala Muhammad Airport on fire. Set it ablaze. Right now you are dealing with animals. Fulani Janjaweed. They do not reason, unquote. It is important to state that the said hotels and Murtala Muhammad Airport and other property in Lagos. They are not in the north. They are not in the north where it seemed to hate with passion. Even his own fellow Igbos people have property in Lagos. With destroying the property is said to be agitation for self-determinations. The threats and destruction which follow were corroborated in Exhibit PWD2, which is a pictorial picture of the assessment of damage done to the Nigerian police alone in the state of southern states. So many of these police stations and even police officers were killed as a result of the incitement by the defendant. Also Exhibit PWD2A, which is a compilation of death reports and certificate of death of security officers. In the report, the number of police officers who were killed was given as 128, military officers were 37, other security officers as 10, number of police stations attacked were 164, and NEC facilities destroyed were 9 in number. This clearly shows the extent of damage caused by the defendant. Through his inciting statements, another caller called into the program informing the defendant that he was at a Shodia Papa expressway and that they are killing them. The defendant, annoyed by this information, stated for, and I quote, how many police or army did you kill? I don't want to hear that they are killing you. How many did you kill? The caller then responded that they have bombed the Arile police station and Alasa police station. The defendant then told the caller not to wave the green, white, green flag of Nigeria but a blood-stained flag with the color green, white. He further responded to another caller by saying, "What I want them to do is to set ablaze building along Marina on fire. Every federal government property in Lagos should be burnt. That is what is going to be signaled to the world that people have had enough. I want every federal government building in Lagos will be on fire. Every federal government vehicle or anything belonging to federal government, burn it. Go to the Murtala Muhammad Airport. Burn it. How many soldiers do they have? Manufacture your own weapons and ambush them." The result of this incitement is the killing of several military officers, police officers, DSS officers. The incitements also led to the destruction of several police stations in Lagos across the southern states of Nigeria. According to PW5, he led a team of officers to investigate the destruction and killing of the security personnel that occurred during the NSYS protest of the 20th of October 2020. As contained in NDB PWD2 and PWD2K. The results were quite alarming. The court is mindful not to attribute all the happening during the NSYS protest on the defendant. However, there is no doubt that the incitement by the defendant contributed largely to the killing of security operatives as well as destruction of public properties. The defendant incited people to destroy properties such as the Alasa police station, other police stations and properties of this government. The evidence before this court shows that the said properties were actually destroyed, such as Alasa police station, the High Court of Lagos in Igbosere, as well as PRT buses belonging to Lagos state government in Oyingbo. PW2 also testified that military couples were killed by those incited by the defendant in Orlu in Imo state. In addition, PW4 stated that his driver and one of his tactical officers were killed as a result of the incitements. The action of the defendant was clear, as it was aimed to cause anarchy by killing security operatives in Nigeria, which would in turn lead to breakdown of law and order. The defendant's act and of an evil intention to wreak havoc on the people and government of Nigeria. Are all these actions consistent with agitation for self-determinations? The answer to this is in negative. His violent outbursts as well as his instigations of the public to attack and kill security officers in southern Nigeria without provocation was done, barbaric and without any conscience whatsoever. The defendant did not feel any concern for the family of the officers who were strained. He turned himself to a tyrant who could take life anytime he pleased. Such persons cannot be allowed to remain in society of sane minds. His shocking instigations to kill other human beings was incomprehensible, and these court hereby condemn it. But I must say that evidence extracted in this judgment is minute and very small to the avalanche of evidence and broadcast before these courts by the defendant. The defendant made extremely threatening statements, incited people to violence. The prosecution unsuccessfully discharged his body of proof in counts 4 and 5 beyond reasonable doubt. Consequently, the defendant is hereby convicted of the said count 4, 5. Now count 6. For count 6, the defendant charged with the offense of making a broadcast received and heard in Nigeria within the juris of this court in furtherance of an art of terrorism against the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the people of Nigeria, in which he directed members of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, a proscribed organization, to manufacture bombs, thereby committing an offense punishable under Section 1(2)(f) of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013. Section 1(2)(f) of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2013 provides a person or body corporate who knowingly in or outside Nigeria, directly or indirectly willingly assists, felicitates, organizes or directs the activities of person, organization engaged in any act of terrorism. The ingredients of the offense expected to be established are 1. The defendant must be a person or body corporate. 2. The defendant must have assisted, facilitated, organized or directed the activities of person or organization engaged in terrorist activities. 3. The defender must have willingly or willingly assisted, facilitated, organized or directed the activities of persons, organization engaging terrorist acts. The defendants herein have been established to be a human being. As to the second and third ingredient, the defendant, the prosecution has led evidence to show that defendant has directed membership of the terrorist organization to build bombs, other explosives in order to attack security operatives, indeed in full dance of its terrorist actions and following the incitement of person to kill defendant security operative. The defendant also directed his members to build explosive devices, particularly Molotov cocktail, about 1/30th of a minute, 36 seconds of the broadcast of the 20th of October 2020 as contained in Exhibit PWW. The defendant, while responding to a caller about NSY's protest, stated, and I quote, "Now this night, I want graduates to go to work, graduates of chemical engineering, those who were born as engineers. Manufacture any ordnance you can because they are coming to kill you anyway regardless of what you do. Go and manufacture any ordnance. I am calling on the youth in the middle belt and I want any bridge that they can use to reinforce to be destroyed. They are going to come from the middle belt this night. We have engineers everywhere, people who are intelligent. Go back now and give us your own version of Molotov cocktail. We must destroy them before they destroy us. Every youth tonight, anybody with a police uniform anywhere, especially in Aba, in Lagos. Once you have police uniform or any army uniform, that person is your enemy. Attack them because if you don't, they will kill you. If you are a graduate of physics or chemistry, no sleep for you tonight. Go and manufacture something to destroy the police and every army, police position, starting from this night." During the said broadcast, while responding to a caller named Jacob from Nasarawa State, the defendant even told the people how to build an improvised bomb. He asked them to go to filling station to get fuel in a bottle, put a rag in it that then they should set the rag ablaze and throw it at a soldier. A Molotov cocktail, according to Wikipedia.com, that I assess at 1 a.m. on the 20th of November 2025. A hand-drawn incendiary weapon consisting of a fragile container filled with flammable substances equipped with a fuse in use. The fuse attached to the container is lit and the weapon is thrown scattering on impact. The online Britannica dictionary defined Molotov's cocktail as a crude bomb typically consisting of bottle filled with inflammable liquids and a wick that is ignited before throwing. Applying the above definition, the directive of the defendant to members of the group to build improvised bombs such as Molotov's cocktail is indeed a terrorist act. A Molotov cocktail is capable of causing explosions damaged like any other bombs which aim is to cause destruction. This directive, like all that directive, is the manifestation of anarchy-minded of the anarchy-minded of the defendant which he set out to express through his Biafra radio, which he claimed to be the founder and director. The defendant through the Radio Biafra platform carried out so many terrorist attacks which led to the destruction of lives and property in Nigeria. The defendant is not only confirmed to local terrorists, but I hold without hesitation that he is an international terrorist flowing from his threat to attack British High Commission and American Embassy as well as his incitement against the British High Commissioner to Nigeria at the time, Katrina Lang, a known woman of peace. In a broadcast of the 21st of October 2020, the defender stated thus, and I quote, "Radio Biafra is now in the hand of the enemy of our freedom. I don't know how much they paid for it, but I know that Britain spent about 4.8 billion a few days ago to suppress what is happening. That is what they have done. I told you a while back that Britain was now in charge of what is happening in the zoo. And you thought that it was joke. They have now come with their clampdown, but they are not going to succeed. Radio Biafra belonged to us. But why is it not playing our program right now?" The defendant also stated, "I am telling you people to go to the bush. Wherever you see a military convoy, you attack them. Whenever you see a police convoy, attack them. They are human beings and they also bleed. Any person with a police uniform or any army uniform is your enemy." Around 57 minutes mark into that the defendant directed his threat at Katrina Lang, the British High Commissioner. He stated, and I quote, "They came to Tinubu. It is a surprise that after the British commissioner came to Tinubu, they opened fire on protesters in Lagos. You should not be shocked. The woman is dead. Is demure, a big pig, demon, 1 hour 8 minutes 335 second mark. The defendant also stated, and I quote this: the same thing that Britain did to Rhea in what they are doing to us now. Media blackout. Do you want the world to report this issue? Take over the British High Commission. That is all. Take over the consulate in Lagos. Take over the one in Abuja. Every newspaper in the world will report it in the morning. If you march on the British High Commission, in morning front pages in the world, will carry it. And the world will ask, why is British Commission in Abuja and Lagos under occupation by Nigerian youth? Then it is over. I'm giving you a master strategy of how things should be done in a formation of 3 lines. There is something I want you to do. I'm announcing it on air so you understand. People should go to every weather shop. You know, those who build bulletproof door. I don't care how much it costs. We will pay. Everybody who is a weather who builds bulletproof. People should take those doors and put nails in front of them and stand in front of protesters so that bullets cannot go through. Push the door, get the weapons and deal with them. When you are marching to the British High Commission tomorrow, form 3 lines. They will have the army surrounding them. They will send a cable to London that British High Commission in Lagos is under attack. They will be forced to release it. Then the whole world will know that a revolution is going on. Without that, you cannot succeed. Unquote. Even recently in this courtroom, on the 7th day of November 2025, when the matter came up before this court, the court wondered the kind of malice and hatred which the defendant had for Britain. I will produce same part of the proceedings of that day here too. Defendant, he says there are issues at play which my lord has not able to overcome. Which even the prosecution has not even attempted to overcome. My lord, are you asking me to go into the doors to defend myself on a non-existent law? If you can state that for the record, my lord, I will be most grateful that you are going to try me or ask me to enter my defense. Where no law exists. Because if that is the position, my lord, that means that the outcome of my trial is predetermined. A man of my stats, my station and caliber cannot be tried without any valid law. It is impossible, my lord. I will tell you why. This was the case. This very case is bigger than this court. The cause of the case of mine started in 1957 when some brave men and women in this very country dared to ask the British to live. The funniest thing is that all of them, that very effort, they all went to jail and were killed. Court, I'm learning this now. Then ask the British to leave defendant. Yes, in 1957, Drive. Anthony Enahoro moved a motion at the House in Lagos asking the white men to go and leave us alone. From that day, trouble started. Even before then the like of Harvard Macaulay was jailed. Honorable men that fought for the indignity of the black race. Because they want me convicted. They told me so. Absolutely, my lord, absolutely. 100% they told me. They said, I will come to court to hear your case. When prosecutions open their case. When you start your cross-examination. When you refuse your no-case submission. I am telling you what happened 1.5 years ago. When you file your no-case submission and is rejected, you will not go into trial. You will be there during the verdict. You will be there during convictions. The court now responded, let me just clarify this. It is also on record you said that the British said that 1.5 years ago that I was not the one presiding here. I want to say this, that I know my brother too. That was a certain. It will not get into that level of having anything to do anything, because the way you are putting it, I want to say this. I do not have any relationship with the British. I have come here to do justice. I reiterate, can you commence your defense so that if you commence today, I can extend time for you, because your time has ended today. For the US Embassy, it will have been attacked if not for the closure as a result of the protest. the defendant at about 2:22 2 hours 24 minutes 50 seconds mark of the video of 21st day of October 2020 broadcast in LGBTWW stated, "American embassy is shut down. Why won't they shut down? People are protesting." This statement regarding the Embassy of United States of America is quite loaded. The statement could mean several things, none which are palatable or peaceful. What exactly does the defendant mean by the American embassy is shut down? Was he trying to attack the embassy if it has not shut down as a result of protest or incite order to do same as he did in British embassy? The inference to be drawn from the statement is that the defendant meant to do harm to the Embassy of United States by attacking or invading the embassy. Under international law, the premises of an embassy or high commission of a foreign nation is deemed invaluable. That means that even though the land belongs to host country, it cannot invade such premises. See Article 22 of Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relationship. Article 22 of Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations 1961. It provides the premises of missions shall be invaluable. The agent of the receiving state may not enter them except with the consent of the head of the mission. 2. The receiving state is under special duty to take all appropriate steps to protect the premises of the mission against any intrusion or damage and to prevent any disturbance of the peace of the mission or impairment of its dignity. 3. The premises of the mission, their furnishings and other properties therein and the means of transport or the mission shall be immune from searched acquisitions, attachment or execution. From the above it can be said that defendant incited for people to invade. British High Commission and his threat against British High Commissioner Katrina and American Embassy is an act of international terrorism. This is the purpose of Section 3 of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013, which provides, and I quote, "Any person who intentionally murder, kidnap, commits other attacks on persons or liberty of an international protected persons. B. Carries out violent attack on official premises, private accommodation or means of transport of an international protected person in a manner likely to endanger his person or liberty. C. Threatening to commit any such attack, commit an offense and is liable on conviction to life imprisonment." The High Commissioner is an international protected person being the representative of the British government in Nigeria as well as other staff of High Commission and Embassy of United States of America, leaving the defendant to continue his terrorist activity who have led to an international incident involving Nigeria and other foreign nations who are good partners with Nigeria. The question to ask again is whether bombing or attacking embassies of high commissions constitutes an act consistent with agitation for self-determination. Again, the answer is no. All these acts goes to show that the criminal tendency of the defendant as well as show concrete proof of his terrorist acts. Therefore, I hold without hesitation that the prosecution has successfully established count 6 against the defendant. Consequently, he is hereby convicted of count 6 of the charge with respect to concern of the charge. The defendant is charged with importing into Nigeria and keeping in Ozubulu in Ihiala local government of Anambra state within jurisdiction of this honorable court a radio transmitter known as Tram 5 Tram 50. Concealed in a container of used household items which he declared as used household items, thereby committing an offense contrary to Section 47(2)(a) of Custom and Excise Management at Cap C 45 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. The dispute as to which law provides for the offense in count 7 has been conclusively decided by the Supreme Court in case of Federal Republic of Nigeria versus Kano Chopra, whereby Lord M.L. Gaba JSE while reading the lead judgment held, and I quote, "A calm reading of the details of the facts stated as constituting the offense mentioned or named therein would clearly and undoubtedly review that it deals with the offense punishable under the provision of Section 47(2) of the Custom Excise and Management Act Cap C 45 Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004, which provides as follows: 47(2). If a person imports or causes to be imported any goods conceived in a container holding goods of different descriptions, shall be sentenced to imprisonment for 5 years without the option of fine. It follows in the above circumstances that the mention of the Criminal Court Act has been Chapter C-45 or Chapter C-45 in Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004 is a mere mistake in place of correct law. The Customs and Excise Management Acts under which the facts alleged to constitute an offense in Count 15 is punished and punishable. The offense in Count 15 is consequently recognizable and grounded in an extant existing law in Nigeria in which it was defined and described, unquote. Thus, the court will follow the decision of the Supreme Court and decide Count 7 based on Section 47 of the Custom and Excise Management Act. The ingredients of the offense are: the defendant must have imported or caused to be imported goods concealed in a container. 2. The imported concealed goods must have been of a different descriptions. The evidence led by the prosecution through PW4 is that the defendant imported into Nigeria a radio transmitter known as Tram 550L concealed in container which contained used household items which he described as such. PW4 stated that indeed the Department of State Service had tracked the transformer transmitter of Radio Biafra to a compound in Ubulisuzor in Ihiala local government of Anambra state belonging to one Benjamin Madugulu. The officer secured a search warrant exhibit PWT and proceeded to the compound where they recovered the container. Parallel to going to the scene, PW4 testified that he watched a video of the defendant inspecting the container and the transmitter with Benjamin Madugulu. The court visited where the container was kept in the custody of the DSS and same was admitted in evidence in the presence of defendant as exhibit and it did not object to same. The container itself contains several household items which appear to be covered for the transmitter concealed in it. The projection has led evidence to show that the transmitter was smuggled into the country without same being declared to custom. The surrounding facts also show that the purpose for which the defendant intended to use the transmitter was to broadcast program on Radio Biafra and this make it concealed the transmitter. There is also no evidence that Radio Biafra is registered with Nigeria Broadcasting Commission as stated by PW4. Thus it is safe to conclude that the concealment of transmitter is in fundraise of the legal operation of Radio Biafra by the defendant. The defendant, as a consequence of resting his case on the prosecution, did not call any witness to report the evidence of the prosecution, neither did he lead any evidence to counter the evidence of the prosecution execution. There is no evidence before this court stating the transmitter was locally imported into Nigeria. The defendant had the duty to present evidence and fight to report the allegation made against him, but he failed and deliberately refused to do same. The court is therefore bound to believe the evidence of the prosecution. Consequently, the courts hereby convict the defendant of count 7 of the charge. I must say here that defendant has always claimed to be a freedom fighter. He is only seeking justice for his people. Indeed, this is known in law as the right to self-determinations. The right to self-determination is a political right recognized in several international instruments. Article 1 of the International Convention of Civil and Political Rights 1966 provides, and I quote, "All people have the right of self-determination. By virtue of that right they freely determine the political status and freely pursue their economic, social and cultural developments." The right to self-determination also entails the right of a group of people to form their political entity or their own government. Article 20 of the African Charter on Women and People's Rights also provides, and I quote, "All people shall have the right to assistance. They shall have the unquestionable and inalienable rights to self-determination. They shall freely determine their political status and shall pursue their economic and social development according to the policy they have freely chosen. 2. Colonized or oppressed people shall have the right to free themselves from the bond of domination by resorting to any means recognized by the international community. 3. All people shall have the right to the assistance of the state parties to the present charter in their liberation struggle against foreign domination, be it political, economy or cultural. Nigeria has dominated the African Charter, which is known as the African Charter on Women and People's Rights. Ratification and enforcement rights, which means the provision of the Charter are enforceable in Nigeria provided they do not conflict with the clear provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. Section 21 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended makes it clear that Nigeria is an indivisible state, which means there is no room for divisions. The said section provides, and I quote, "Nigeria is one indivisible, indissoluble sovereign state to be known by the name Federal Republic of Nigeria." This means that anyone agitating for a breakup of the Federation of Nigeria is going against the Constitution. However, any person agitating for self-determination can do so through the National Assembly seeking for amendments of the Constitution regarding the indivisibility of Nigeria and to reflect the recognition condition of the agitating states. It is after this that the procedure can be said to be completed, but not excluding referendum. Any self-determination not done in accordance with the Constitution and laws of the country will be illegal. The defendant is not only agitating for secession of the state of the Southeast, South and some Middle Belt states, he's doing so using terrorism as a weapon. Terrorism has become a muster in the world today, and several groups have continued to use this weapon to form separate governments in Nigeria. Groups like Boko Haram, Lakurawa, IPOB have in recent years troubled Nigeria with terrorist activities. This terror group by their activities has denied innocent people the enjoyment of their fundamental rights. The action of the defendant and his terrorist organization have led to the bloodshed of innocent citizens as well as security personnel who were going about their legitimate duty. His incitement through the broadcast on Radio Biafra as well as the social media platform of the group has led to the destruction of lives and property as well as affect the daily life of his people of Southeast. The defendant did not only threaten the government of Nigeria but his own people. This is seen in a broadcast while addressing the death of one of the commander of IPOB named Akonso. The defendant on 25th day of April 2021 made a broadcast where he stated, and I quote, "Akonso was not killed on the battlefield but was killed in his village in the middle of night. Not on battlefield because of the battlefield, no army or police can defeat him. Ever since Eastern Security Network was launched I have not seen anybody tell me that their life have not improved since it was launched." Around 21 minutes marked, the defendant stated, "Vengeance is a master of appetite, forever blood-tasty never failed. Akonso is in heaven, he is going to be revenged, and by God he will be revenged. All those who had hands in Akonso dead are all dead people working, all of them." He also stated that Akonso will be mourned in a special way just like how the Oba of Benin is buried with human heads. That he said Akonso is more than Oba. Thank you. There is no doubt that this is contained in the broadcast. The defendant's statement was corroborated by PW4, who stated that upon the arrest of one of the IPOB commander named as Onye Army, he informed them that they were only to get 30 heads of humans out of 2,000 head as ordered by the defendant. This court is aware that the said Onye Army was not called as a witness in this case, and this may affect the probative value of his evidence. However, the evidence being used as corroboration to the statement made by the defendant himself refer to supporting or additional piece of evidence that supports another evidence. See Ogumbayo and the state citation, where the Supreme Court held, and I quotes, "Corroboration having been not to be a technical terms of all means, no more than evidence tending to confirm, support and strengthen other evidence sought to be corroborated. This evidence is to be to corroborate the evidence, the statement of the defendant." I must say here that the prosecution witnesses were consistent and calm in the giving of the evidence. Their calm demeanor despite provocative questions under cross-examination justified them to be witness of truth. I carefully observed them, and the only conclusion to reach is that they are witness of truth, and these courts readily believe them. The defendant on the other side, from his attitude in court, was truly very cocky, arrogant. He even stated that no court can convict him. This is a direct affront on the power of the courts, which this court will not take for granted, but will do justice. It is interesting to note that the defendant who claimed to be a freedom fighter has even caused more harm to his own people who are predominantly Christian faiths. Can this be said to be agitation for self-determination? Not at all. Agitation for self-determination cannot be to the detriment or to be detrimental to people who are supposed to be beneficiary of that said self-determination. The usual sit at home or the primary affects his own people of the Southeast. The killing of people who disobey the order are his own people. Holding of closure of churches and schools as well as markets also affect his own people. They are unable to trade, go to school, farm, even worship on such days. The threat of violence and death have prevented these people from going about their legitimate businesses. Are these acts of defendant consistent with the agitation for self-determination? The answer is in the negative. Once again, the defendant was not elected by anybody, also cannot dictate for the people of Southeast, especially through intimidation and threats of violence. He is a terrorist. He must be treated as such. In final analysis, the prosecution has successfully established the 7-count charge against the defendant beyond reasonable doubts. Consequently, he is convicted on all the 7 counts. The next just 30 minutes, I go to the chambers. Anybody is free to come and get a certified true copy of the judgments.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way. Bringing you the news in a more digital way.